I got things to do.
Okay, we are 3 weeks out from comp. Technically that is a little bit of a lie because it's actually Friday the 3rd of March as I'm filming this, so I'm now actually 2 weeks and 1 day out. But what I'm going to do, I haven't filmed enough during the week, so I'm just going to do all my recaps now. I've written down exactly how the sessions went, what my thoughts and feelings were, so let's just watch Saturday's session back and then we will talk through how that went. Just a heads up, it didn't go very well. Okay, so Saturday's SBD day, not a good session. A few reasons as to why. I'll talk you through the reasons why before I talk you through the session. So I woke up Saturday morning at 84.5 kilos, which is great to be only 500 grams over the 3 week out point, you know, very comfortable, loads of room to play with, brilliant. Downside, I lost over a kilo in a week, which is definitely not ideal. Like as a strength athlete of my kind of body composition, you shouldn't really be aiming to lose more than 0.5 to maybe at a push 0.7 kilos in a week. I don't think that alone would have had a massive impact on the session. But there was also the fact that I felt like I was kind of coming down with a little bit of a cold or something. Like I didn't feel 100% myself. And a few people around me have had colds and things recently. So I think, you know, that could have been something. I don't feel like I've actually come down with anything now as the week's gone on. I had a few days where I felt a little bit rough, so I definitely think I had a little bit of something, but whatever it is, I think that's cleared up now, which is just in time because tomorrow is actually my heaviest session of the whole prep. So make sure you watch next week's video to see that. And then the third, and I think most important factor as to why I had a bit of a bad session is the fact that the Tuesday before I massively overshot on squats. I messed up my rep. I messed up rep 2 of my last triple on squats. My foot turned in, and then my third rep ended up, as a consequence, being an absolute RPE 10, maybe 9.5 if I really want to grind out. So yeah, my session was impacted by that all. I'm not too worried though. So I managed to do, let me get my days up. I managed to do my 3 singles at 165, and they felt a bit heavier, but they were fine. Like, they weren't the greatest. My knee valgus was definitely worse than normal as well. But it's just fatigue's building, so adductors kicking in more. Like, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. My 2x6, I wanted to just do 140 again because I thought, oh, 140 moved really well the week before. 140 felt really heavy. I did 1 rep and it felt fine. And then very quickly the set started to feel awful. And that was actually, I think it was on rep 3 on the way back up where I suddenly twigged as to why it felt awful, because I'd completely forgotten about my Tuesday session being an overshoot. So from that moment, I realised I needed to drop the weight. So I finished that set of 6, and then I dropped the weight to 130 for my second set. The 130 moved like a dream, really comfortable, brilliant, just what I think I needed to help with the recovery side of things. And then I did my last 2 sets on squats, my 2x10. I did actually put the weight up from last week because I've been doing them nice and light. So last week I did 115 for my 2 sets of 10. This week I did 117.5, and they moved really well. I'm really happy with them. The reason I'm keeping the 10s in at the moment, partly to obviously increase fatigue as we get closer to comps, and then the taper has a better effect. But mostly it's just so that I'm conditioned for 10s when it comes to my off season after comp, because I know I'm going to go into high rep work straight after comp, and I don't want to have to wait to put the weight up because of the fact that my lungs can't cope with the reps. Like, I want to be able to breathe and load the weight from the beginning. So that was really good. That moved, I would say, at about an RPE 5 or 6. So really, really happy with my 2 sets of 10. And then bench was, I mean, I should be upset with it, but I'm really not. I did my last one at 100. 100 is a consistent weight for me, and it has been for well over a year now. And it moved the worst it has, I think, ever. I think it moved slower than the first time I ever hit it, but it's fine. I kept that as my top single because I was clearly fatigued. It's fine. And then I did my 4x3 at 95, which actually moved really comfortably. So I'm not concerned by the fact that bench felt a bit rubbish. And then my last one was just standard routine, absolutely fine. The highlight of the session though was deadlifts. So because squats and bench had both gone badly, I automatically assumed deadlifts would too. Deadlifts and I have never had the best relationship. It's getting better. My deadlift is actually improving for once. So I'm starting to like deadlifts more. But after Saturday, I actually love them. So I was going to do 185 for my top single, depending on obviously how warm-ups felt. But 175 in my last warm-up did feel a little bit heavy. And the fact that I knew my other sets and throughout the session hadn't moved great, I decided to drop it to 182.5 because I knew 180 would be there comfortably. So I just did 182.5, which is 2.5 below my all-time max. And to be honest, it moved really well. It was still a bit slow. My top single deadlifts are slow. They're going to be slow, and I have to get used to that fact. The main highlight for me though was my 3x2 at 170. I've never repped 170 before, so I was so super happy with that. And then I just did 2x5 at 145. Super routine, nothing to report on. The session as a whole wasn't brilliant. It ended on a high with deadlifts. But yeah, I knew at that point that I definitely had built up a lot of more fatigue than I'd planned to that early on in the prep. Especially because I knew my heaviest session was still to come. So what I planned to do was just take my Tuesday session a little bit lighter, which is exactly what I did. So after the Saturday session, Sunday I had accessories at the local gym down the road, didn't film anything. I don't think there was anything else to really report on training that side of things. So let's just skip through, let's watch Tuesday's session, and then I will talk to you about it after.
We've said our goodbyes, but we won't go home just yet. You've got your head down, just like when we first met. I can't believe it's ending. Why did we fuck it up? So stupid and upsetting. How can I give you up? We've said our goodbyes, but we won't go home just yet. Let's stay here
let's talk about Tuesday. Tuesday was a lot better. So Tuesday I kept the weight slightly lighter and everything moved as I wanted it to. So I did my 6x3 on squats at 150. They all felt comfortable. One thing I made sure to do, I brought my grip back in on squats. I used to have a very, very narrow grip on the bar when I was a junior. When I was a 72 lifter, my grip was always really narrow. Since I've come back and I've been heavier, I've tried to bring it out a little bit to increase the amount of tightness I've got in my back and to create an enhanced shelf effect, if that makes sense. So I've not really got on with that method, and I don't know why I'm still doing it, to be honest. I brought my grip back in, and I also brought my stance in maybe an inch or two, and they felt so much better. I felt like I had so much more power. It felt so much better on my back. So I'm definitely going to make sure going forward I keep that closer grip on the bar and I keep that slightly narrower stance and everything, because the 150 for 6x3, it should be easy for me. Like, that's an easy triple weight for me. But it moved even easier than I wanted it to, or even easier than I expected it to, I guess I should say. And my rest breaks were nice and short. They're about 2 minutes each, so that's really good. My 5x1, I stuck to 102.5, and I'm glad I did. They were all consistently slow, but consistently comfortable. And I got commands on every single one, which is something I need to make sure I do now for the rest of my bench sessions. And yeah, I'm really happy with how they moved. Obviously, I'd like them to move faster. Like, my bench max is 110, but as I said in my last video, bench has not felt right for me for a long time. I've got a lot of work to do on my bench in my off season, and yeah, so I'm not mad. 102.5 with commands 5 times. That's a breeze for me, and that was great. And then my last in 3x5, I did 85 for my first set and then 82.5 for my next two. I don't know if you remember, but last week when I did my last one, I actually failed my second set at 85, which is why I thought to drop it a little bit this week. But yeah, the 82.5 actually felt really, really comfortable. The 85 didn't feel bad either, to be honest, but I just didn't want to risk failing again, so I dropped that down. And then pause deadlifts just kept at 145 because I wanted to really pull back on my deadlifts for that session, just to keep me in the best possible position for a nice big pull the following Saturday, which is tomorrow. Again, watch next week's video so you can see what my last heavy session was like. But yeah, so Tuesday session was great, actually. Again, everything was a little bit lighter, needed it to be, definitely helping with bringing that fatigue slightly back down, ready for Saturday's session. So now the only thing left to talk through is Wednesday's bench only. So let's see how that went, and then I'll talk you through.
People are nice, but it's only for the tips. The weather's fine, but it's nothing I would miss. My only friends are the ones I left behind. Wish I could see them just for a moment, 'cause I don't know anybody here, it's awfully lonely. I smile, but they just stare, and I see misery everywhere, it's getting to me. I cry, but they don't care. Oh, I'm getting lost in the commotion, and the sound is way too loud. 'Cause I'm not the city girl I thought I was. This town is bigger than the ocean, yet too small to fit the crowd. 'Cause I'm not the city girl I thought I was. No, I'm not a city girl. No.
Okay, so let's talk through Wednesday's bench session. So it's the last little clip to go through. 5x5, closer grip, and it was great. I actually took it seriously for once, and the floor is really slippy in the home gym. Last time I deadlifted in there, I used talc, and I haven't cleaned the floor, so that'll be why. And that will explain why the last couple of weeks when I've been in there, my feet have been slipping slightly, but it's not a problem. 5x5, first set, 90 kilos, felt easy as anything, as it should, to be honest. So I moved up to 92.5 for 2 sets, which also felt easy. I mean, watching the video back, it moved better than it felt, but it still didn't feel that bad. So I did my last 2 sets at 95, which I'm really glad I did, because I think I needed that boost. I needed to realise that if I take the day seriously, I can bench well. And also, I did triples the day before with my comp grip at 95, and the next day I managed to do 2 sets of 5 with a closer grip, which I'm not as strong in normally, at the same weight. So I'm really happy with that. I think in the off season, I'm definitely going to play around with my bench frequency again a little bit more. I'm only benching 3 days a week at the moment. Before this comp prep, I was only doing 2 days a week. But back when I was a junior and I used to compete as a 72, I did used to bench 4 days a week. I'm considering going back to 4, but I don't know. I'm very much in the mindset of why do more if you don't have to? I'd rather leave myself room to push it in the future than push it too much now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so my bench only session, did my accessories after. I didn't really want to do the accessories. I mentally just sort of switched off at that point, but I just got them done and then I got out of there. Yeah, I'm really happy. There's not really anything else to report on this week. It's been, I think the only other thing to mention, actually, now I'm thinking about it, is I did wake up slightly heavier this morning. So I actually woke up 85.5 today. Now, I've had a very busy week, like really busy. I have not been sleeping that much. Obviously I've been trying to get as much sleep as I can, but when I've got a lot in my mind, I struggle to sleep, and then I do hold a lot more water, as I think I also mentioned in the last video. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what I weigh after a good night's sleep. However, this weekend I am not probably going to get a good night's sleep because I am doing tons of work this weekend and I have to be up fairly early both days. So we'll see what happens, but that's for the next video to talk about. For now, I'm going to cap this video off. Make sure you watch the next video if you would like to see my last heaviest session of prep. Last heaviest? That doesn't make sense. My heaviest session of the prep. But thank you for watching if you've made it this far.
I got things to do. I'm me playing you.